Good morning. Happy last Sunday of 2024. And welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Mary Murray Shelton, the community spiritual leader here, for those of you that don't know. And you are welcome to sit in the front row here. I rarely bite and I only occasionally spit. So you should be safe over there. One of the things that we always like to do at the beginning of every Sunday celebration is have an opportunity to welcome each other. So I invite you to now stand up, walk around, greet each other, introduce yourselves to anybody that you don't know, welcome people back you haven't seen in a while, and just take a moment to make sure everybody is fully welcomed. And for those of you that are online this morning, you won't be able to see me until later because of the streaming. We're in a different space, as you can tell here at the Corte Madera Best Western. So you'll see this online later. But make sure during this time that you welcome yourself with a little extra coffee or tea. And we'll be right back in a moment to sing, hopefully, the opening song. Good morning. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She had black coat, and I go, I don't see black coat.
Oh, really? Yeah. He comes in all colors. All right. All right. We have Christy Snow doing our music this morning. And Christy is back east. She is a singer-songwriter and the founding minister of the Carolina Center for Spiritual Awakening in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, Justin. And you can learn more about her at christysnow.com. We haven't had Christy do music for us for a while, but she was happy to fill in for one of the weeks that we had available, which was the last Sunday of the year. So we're going to be singing a song that sounds like it ought to be one that we know, but it isn't. It's a different version written by somebody else, but it is still called You Are Welcome Here. So I want to invite you to stand, and we will do our best with a new song. And so here we go. Oh, come on, Christy, there she is.
Good morning, Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Whoever you are and wherever you're from, online or in person, you are welcome in this beloved community. You are welcome here, just the way you are. You are wanted here, so open up your heart. Lay all your fears and all your doubts aside. Let go of all the hurt you hold inside. You are welcome here, just the way you are. You are wanted here, so open up your heart. And you feel the love of all who gather round. You are worthy of this gift of love right now.
Take a breath.
You are welcome here, just the way you are. You are just the way you are. You are wanted here. So open up your heart.
Oh, thank you, Christy. Yes, you may be seated. All right. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and silence your cell phones so they won't interrupt us during the service. And this is a time that we take an opportunity to turn within together. One of the things about greeting each other and then singing together, however well or poorly we do it, however loud or soft, is that we make our voices and therefore our presence present in the room together. And we become more than just a bunch of spectators. We become a congregation. So now that we've done that, we can turn within together and center ourselves. So I'm going to call our morning prayer practitioner, Rick Walt, up to do our opening for us right now.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I invite you to, if you wish, close your eyes. Take a deep breath and ground to Holy Mother Earth. And release whatever it took to get here. And to open your heart to those seated around you. These magnificent manifestations of God in form, our congregation, our community. Knowing that today, right here, right now, in this moment, will be the last time in 2024 that we are gathering together in prayer, in service. And that we are each united with each other, living in the Spirit of God, allowing the warmth of God, the love of God, to manifest through each and every one of us. As we listen today for the words of wisdom coming from Reverend Mary about living as light. I know this is the truth of who we are as a community. Blessed be, and I now release my word into that creative law, knowing indeed that it is true and it is done in consciousness. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Rick.
There's a place we can go to, whatever race or creed, a place we can go to, together you and me, a place we can go to stand in unity, hand in hand together, for all the world to see, and that place is love. That place is love. That place is love. In the consciousness of our hearts, stand in love. Now is the time we have to make a choice, to go to fear and hatred, or to give love a voice. And now is the time to stand in our belief and to hold in our minds what we want to see. So I stand in begun. So I stand in love. I stand in love. I stand in love. In the consciousness of my heart, I stand in love. We stand in love. We stand in love. We stand in love. In the consciousness of our hearts, in the consciousness of our hearts, in the consciousness of our hearts, we stand in love.
Mhm. Well, this is the last Sunday of the theme for the year of a grand rising, which was intended to be an opportunity for all of us throughout Centers for Spiritual Living to grow, to expand, to become lifted in our consciousness. And so the universe, having great faith in us, gave us a kind of a challenging year to deal with in order to practice that. Because sometimes the only way that we know that we're making any kind of spiritual progress is by being called to practice. And I had that opportunity just a couple days ago when I hit a curb rather hard with my rear driver's tire, which went flat very quickly as I was getting ready to get on the freeway. And it wasn't enough that we were getting ready to go south on 101. We were right at that place where that ramp splits to 101 or those going to Highway 12. And we were right there. And I started to feel really frustrated and angry and upset. And then I thought, you know, you have AAA. All you have to do is sit here and wait. What are you fussing about? And I just went, okay, I can let this go. And I think it is only because of my connection to science of mind and the things that I've learned over all these years that I recognize that as a moment where I was called to let go. Just let it go. Just be here. It's all going to be taken care of. Just be here and let it unfold. So that was my little test for grand rising. And it may have only been a half an inch or so, but I was definitely rising in that experience. This month, we've been talking about completing the year well. And so December's theme is sticking the landing. How do we come to the end of the year in the best way that we can? How do we manage to do that? So the process of sticking the landing is what we've been looking at throughout the month of December. Now, I said last week that Hanukkah began at sunset on Christmas Day. So tonight will be the fifth night of Hanukkah. And normally I would light the menorah candles and do a New Thought version of the prayer. But in the hotel, we can't light the candles. So I want to tell you about the lights and what Hanukkah was about. So it's called the Festival of Lights. And you may know the story that it commemorates a rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. It had originally the old menorah, which means lamp. The old menorah had 7 branches, one for each day of creation. And it burned in the temple in Judea. And Judea was this little area that was in between. It was in a conflict area between the Egyptian Empire and the Greco-Assyrian Empire. So the oil lamp was supposed to burn 24 hours a day, just the way in a Catholic church the sanctuary light is always lit. It represents the presence of God. And so Antiochus IV outlawed Judaism completely. He desecrated the temple. They put pig's blood on the altars. They burned and desecrated the holy books. So this is like a horrible desecration of the temple. And so when they went to rededicate it, the Maccabees fought for several years to be able to recreate their Jewish traditions and to relight the menorah. And when they did that, they realized they only had enough oil available, enough sacred oil for one day, to light it for one day. But they couldn't wait to rededicate the temple. So they sent for more of this sacred oil, and they knew that it was going to take a week before they had more. So they went ahead and they lit this menorah, or this lamp, and it burned for 8 days until more sacred oil came. And so this is something that is commemorated every year with a recognition of this miracle. And so what happens now is that the central candle that's the tallest is the helper candle, the shamash. And that's the one that's lit first in order to light all the others. And then the first candle is lit the first night of Hanukkah. And then each subsequent night, that candle is lit, and then the next one, always from the left to the right. And so since tonight becomes the 5th night of Hanukkah, we would light the shamash first, and then each one of these candles, and then the 5th one. And this would happen in honor of this great miracle that took place. So the prayers that go with that are the recognition of God's care for his people. Because in the Jewish history, they have been saved so many times. This little tiny community of people has been saved so many times that, as Houston Smith said, they did not feel that they were special in any way, that they should have been saved in all these times. But somehow they were God's people, and each time God came through for them. It was a miraculous, unearned blessing, and so they commemorate it. The little dreidels are for a kid's game. They operate like a little top. They are spun, and then when they fall, the particular Hebrew letter that is on the top tells them what, their fortune, something like that. And so we have a bunch of those up here, as well as another candle. That is where we are with the celebration of Hanukkah, and there will be another 3 nights after this one in that celebration. And each day, the family, the children receive little gifts throughout. So they get 8 days of gift. It's not a one-time haul like Christmas. It's a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, okay? And then also, on the day after Christmas, we begin to experience the celebration of Kwanzaa, which is a civil holiday. It is a week long, and it is a holiday for the African American community. And so this part of the altar is for Kwanzaa. And there are 7 principles that are named in Swahili. And each one of the candles represents one of those. So the first candle is the black one in the center, which represents the people. And this is for unity. And when it's lit, then it burns all the way down to nothing. And the next day, you put in a fresh candle. You start with the black one again. And then the order of the lighting of the candles differs depending on preference and community. So some people start, after they light the black one, they start at the end with the first red one. But I like the tradition where they start with the one next to the central candle. So they would go to the red candle next to the black candle, and then the next night to the green candle on the other side of the black one. And then tonight, which would be the 4th night of Kwanzaa, they would light the next red candle. And this candle for today, The word for it is ujama, and that means cooperative economics. Cooperative economics. These stand for unity, self-determination. So self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. And on the altar, this candelabra is called a kinara, and this cup doesn't contain anything right now, but it would contain water, and everyone would take a drink from it when the candle is lit. This little mat that's underneath the kinara is an important part of the setup, as is the corn. So they put first fruits. The corn would probably be fresh, not dried, and they might have a pumpkin or a squash. They would have gifts for the children, and then books and other symbols of African heritage. So we have a broom, a little broom here, and that might represent jumping the broom, a marriage tradition. And we also have a little giraffe down here somewhere who represents Africa as well. But there might be masks and other items, and always books about African American and African history and other things that have to do with education and learning. So the three colors are here. These are the traditional colors for Kwanzaa. And so if you have African American friends or family members, they may be celebrating this holiday right now, and this way you'll know a little bit more about it and how it works. So we honor both of these traditions as we move into the end of the year here, as we move into the final time of the year. And today our theme is living as light. You know, many years ago, in the backwoods of a very poor county back east, Scott Stewart's wife went into labor in the middle of the night, and the doctor, who was also a man of Scottish descent, was called out in the middle of the night to come and assist with the delivery. So it was dark. And so to keep the nervous father-to-be busy, the doctor handed him a lantern and said, "Here, you hold this high so I can see what I'm doing." So pretty soon, a little baby boy was born into the world, and the exhausted father lowered the lantern. "Ah, whoa there," said the doctor. "Don't be in such a rush to be putting the lantern down, Scotty. I think there's another wee one to come." And so Scotty lifted the lantern again, and within a few minutes, sure enough, another little baby was born. And the father, who was not expecting twins, let out a great sigh and started to lower the lantern. And at that point, the doctor said, No, don't you be in such a great hurry to be putting down that lantern, young man. It seems there's yet another one here besides." So he lifted the lantern up again, and pretty soon another little baby was born. And the new father scratched his head in bewilderment, and he asked the doctor, "Do you think it's the light that's attracting him?" Light. We move toward the light. If we're in the darkness, we look toward the light, whether it's stars or the moon or the light under a door. If you can remember being a little kid who had to go to bed before everybody else in the family and your door was closed, you might remember that light under the door that let you know that interesting things were going on out there and you were missing them. Light is part of what we want to acknowledge today, because we recognize that we have been told that we are light. We have been told this not only scientifically, but we have been told this spiritually as well. So in the book of Matthew, Jesus is quoted as saying, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people take a lamp and light it and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house." So if he says, "You are the light of the world," then it implies to all of us that we are to stand up and shine in order to support others, as well as to acknowledge the truth of our own being. Ernest Holmes, our founder, said, "The spark which burns at the center of our own soul is caught from the living and eternal flame of spirit." We are like that sanctuary light, or like that lamp, that menorah, that is an eternal light. We can't help it, but we can kind of dampen it or disguise ourselves so that that light isn't as noticeable, isn't as visible. When we're starting to recognize living as light, as our identity, that becomes a little bit tricky, because what does it mean really to live as light? It kind of sounds like a demand of perfectionism, and that cannot be. Instead of being a demand of perfectionism, it is more a reminder for us to be present, to be fully present to the moment. So now I want you to notice right now where you are in the room, how much light is around you, how the chair feels that you're sitting on, how your feet are resting. Notice the people that are around you, who's closest to you, who's behind you. Your nearest exit may be behind you. So with this awareness, we are moving toward greeting the new year with a recognition that if we are to live as the light, one of the things we need to do is to be present. When the light breaks through our fears, we allow ourselves to be visible in this way. And sometimes it isn't the perfection of our being visible that makes the difference. It might even be our imperfections, and yet being present even with that is inspiring to somebody else. I've said before that people who seem to have it all together, they're not as inspiring to me because they don't seem like me. So I appreciate it when somebody that I admire also acknowledges when they've made a mistake or when they've behaved really badly, because in humbling themselves and being transparent in that way, they are a great model to me to what I can do when I am in that situation, when I need to acknowledge that I have either screwed up or not been very nice or have made a mistake. Can you relate to that? It's more inspiring to me to see somebody do that, because then I see them practicing that actual faith. So when the light breaks through, we have to acknowledge who we are, even in the moments that we stumble. We have to be forgiving, and particularly we have to be forgiving of ourselves. I don't just mean sweeping something under the rug. I mean genuinely recognizing that we goofed and forgiving ourselves and being willing to extend that to others as well. We need patience. Like when you get a blowout in the rain and you have to sit on the side of the road for AAA to come, you have to forgive yourself and have patience, yes? And then to have a sense of humor about the situation, about yourself, about what you're in the middle of, whatever that mess looks like. We sometimes have to have that, and then build in an expectancy of good. I don't know if I had an expectancy of good the other day when this happened, but I have to say, the AAA driver, the truck driver that showed up to tow us over to the AAA tire station, he was a peach. The guy was wonderful. He was really good at what he was doing, but he was also a kind, generous soul who was out there, like the day after Christmas doing this. And it was such loving service. It was really wonderful. And we also have to, in having an expectancy of good, we have to release our expectations for what it has to look like. So just like we release expectations that we will be perfect to rather being present, we release specific expectations of something for an expectancy of good. We're expecting to be delighted and surprised somehow at some point and we let it be at that. So we're coming into that experience of choosing to be present with what's happening, whether we love it or we don't love it. So every moment is an opportunity for us to check in and become present once again, to choose to pay attention to our emotional reactions, no matter what they are. Now, one of the things about emotional reactions is that our tendency is to try and get away from them when they are uncomfortable or unpleasant. Pema Chodron, who is a Buddhist abbess up in Canada, has written a number of books, and she emphasizes over and over again that the idea isn't to try and escape your negativity or your discomfort, but to be able to hang out with it, to be able to notice it, to acknowledge it, to look at it, not to try and get away from it. And it's interesting how much more quickly it can evaporate without resistance when we're willing to be present with it. Not to label it bad or good, not to try and fix it, not to try and make excuses for it, but to notice it, to be present with it, and to sit with it, to sit with those emotions, both positive and negative. Sometimes we try to escape positive emotions because we don't want to be too arrogant. Anybody ever tell you not to be too big for your britches when you were a kid? To sit with even our joy and allow it to be. And then to have a sense of humor about our failings or our goof ups, to be with that as best we can. Edith Wharton said, there are two ways of spreading light: to be the candle or to be the mirror that reflects it. So you know how if you go onto a social media website and you see something somebody's posted that you really love, it either makes you laugh or it makes you cry or you think it's wise, or in some other way it touches you. What do we do with those? We may save them. We often share them. So we are, in that case, being the light, the mirror that's reflecting the candle that somebody else has put out there. Buddha said, thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. So we have opportunities then in all kinds of moments to share something that might touch somebody else or be the exact thing they needed to see or hear in that moment to bring them joy or to allow them to grieve or to simply bring them a moment of inspiration. How many of you have ever been inspired by something you've seen on social media? You can raise your hands. Nobody's taken score, yeah? If you see something like that, pass it on. You can share it there, or you can remember it and tell somebody else about it. Carl Jung said, as far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being, of struggling with everyday ups and downs. But when we come from a more uplifted place, we remind people of the light in them that is already there. Ben Sweetland said, we cannot hold a torch to light another's path without brightening our own. And so we do that maybe for somebody else, but at the same time as we're doing it for somebody else, we receive benefit of it as well. I've always said, for those of you who are practitioners, you know this already, that as a practitioner, when you do a treatment, a spiritual mind treatment, a prayer for someone else, the first person who benefits is the practitioner, even though they're doing the prayer for you or for someone else, because you cannot do that kind of deep connecting and knowing of the truth without it also boomeranging back to you. And so you must all immediately become practitioners. You don't have to become licensed practitioners. Ernest Holmes, our founder, would say that we are all of us practitioners. We can all of us learn the consciousness of spiritual mind treatment and how to do that. So this is the identity here. This, you are the world, you are the universe, you are the light, not only of the world, but of the universe. We have to lean into that identity. And that's a little bit difficult because we don't want to claim that we're the only begotten anything. We don't want to claim that we're saints or that we're angels walking around. And at the same time, if we're not recognizing and acknowledging that we are that light, we're missing something. And so is the world. So what we want to be able to do then is to lean into that identity, to explore it, not by expecting perfection, but by hanging out with ourselves even when we don't feel perfect. What is the light in that moment? The light in that moment is just our attention, our willingness to hang out with ourselves even when we don't feel good. We are exploring that light when we do that. We want to also believe it. Believe that it's there. Now, I tell you, if you've ever done anything, and all these folks walking by, everybody walking by here, or nobody's in the pool today, but everybody walking by is that same light that we are. The people that we like the most, the family members that we love and cherish and adore, we can see that in them. We have a new baby in our family. It's pretty hard to see anything but light in that little kid, even if he's having a fit, because there's something magic about babies. And every one of us was that baby. Every one of us was that one. And so we want to believe that that light is still present. You can't dampen it, you can't darken it, you can't damage it, you can't lose it. You can ignore it, you can learn to pretend it isn't there. You can, as a child, become disappointed in your inability to affect the world immediately when you want to, when your intentions are good. But none of those things diminishes, deletes, or lessens that presence that is within every single one of us. And we want also to learn more about that light. One of the reasons I'm teaching the foundations class is not just for people who are brand new and don't know the lingo and the principles that we teach, but also for all of us who could use a review to just go, right, that's right, I know this, I remember this. Let me anchor more deeply in this. Even if you're a practitioner, you might benefit from the foundations class. So I will be teaching that, and I'll say more about that later. There are also other ways to learn about this. You can read sacred texts. You can read inspirational writings. You can get the Science of Mind magazine, which has a meditation in it every single day. There are all sorts of things you can do that help to remind you and to learn about the light that is within you. Robert Browning wrote in Paracelsus, "Truth is within ourselves. It takes no rise from outward things, whatever you may believe. There is an inmost center in us all where truth abides in fullness, and to know rather consists in opening out a way whence the imprisoned splendor may escape, than in effecting entry for a light that is supposed to be without." So what is he saying? He's saying that the truth is within us, and the only way to know that that's true is to let it out, not to try and collect it from somewhere else, hoping that something else is going to do it for us, but rather to open up and let it out. And the only way to do that is to explore it, to allow ourselves to begin a little bit to believe it, a little bit more, and to learn about it and go a little further. So if we have a willingness to explore it, to learn about it, to practice it, then we experience it more in our lives. When people say wonderful things about you, and you think, they don't know me very well, or, yeah, well, you wouldn't think that if you knew I just did that. But instead of that, to truly, in a heartfelt way, say thank you. And to accept it is to anchor within ourselves a deeper recognition and belief of the light that we are. Brian Swimmy said at an IONS conference I was at in Arizona quite a few years ago, it is amazing that every atom of our bodies was forged in the fire of a star. Every atom. We were created and born from light. And we're still made of that. David Bohm, thank God I finally looked up how to say his name. Belruth Naparstek wrote a book in which she speaks about David Bohm, and she said, the brilliant work of David Bohm describes how we are, at the most basic levels, unrestricted non-local beings. In other words, not bound by time and space. Bohm's central thesis is that the world and everything in it is a vast ocean of energy. In this sea of pure energy, there are no particles, no space, no time. In Bohm's physics, the subtlest level of energy is, in fact, pure light. You might remember, if you were with us last week, that Gary Lynn Floyd sang a song he wrote called Pure Light. We are pure light. And I don't know if have you ever seen the light around another person? Have you ever seen the light that emanates, that aura of energy? Some people see it as color, but it often just appears as kind of a shimmery, sort of a white light. That's why Renaissance painters drew halos over people. It's the representation of the aura, but the aura, that light, that energy that emanates from us, it doesn't just sit over your head like a little circle, a disc. No, it's your whole body. Sometimes if you're sitting out there and you're looking, if there were a white, just a plain wall behind me, you might be able to see it. And with some people, they see the actual expansion of the colors and that kind of energy. I don't see it most of the time, but occasionally I do. Occasionally I get to see that. Ernest Holmes, our founder, used to see that light around things, around people. And he said this, there is such a light at a center of everything, and you might someday in ordinary affairs look up and see that light. You might see it everywhere in all things. Everything must become light. There isn't anything outside this light. There isn't anything in which this light does not exist. I can remember Reverend Michael Beckwith telling us a story about being in Africa and being called by a tribal leader to him. He sent someone to Michael who said, the old man wants to see you. And Michael was like, what old man? But he got in the Jeep with this guy and they went out into the jungle, and he went to the place, and the old man told somebody to take Michael out to this place to pray and meditate. And so they did, and Michael had a really good meditation. They came back, and the old chief asked, what happened? And Michael said, well, I had a really good meditation. And the old chief shook his head. He said, I'll do it. He took him back out there, and he started to experience this old chief calling out and hearing a response come back, a kind of disembodied response. I mean, Michael wasn't sure where it was coming from, but it was not in English. And the old chief said, no English. And so the voice came back in English, and Michael realized at a certain point they were having a conversation with a tree. And when they turned around to go back, it was very dark. And Michael said on the way out there, he had stumbled over the rocks and roots and all kinds of stuff because it was hard to see in the dark. When he turned around to go back, he could see light glowing from every tree and bush as they went back to the place where that chief was. And the chief, told Michael he needed to stay for several days, and they did whatever they did. I don't know the details. That was enough to blow my mind, just the way it was. That light is in everything. We don't see it usually. We haven't been trained to, but it's there. And maybe our presence and our knowing opens our seeing in a broader way, or at least opens our inner seeing in a broader way, so that the people that we look to, the ones that we love and the ones that we don't, that we begin to perceive the truth of that energy being that they are a little bit more. In Help for Today, our founder Ernest Holmes wrote, "Let us therefore light the candle of love, human kindness, forgiveness, and understanding in our soul, and let it shine brightly. Let us not peer into the darkness, troubled and concerned, because it is so foreboding and unknown. Rather, let us remain steadfast in the radiance of that spiritual light of truth within ourselves. Let us stand guard so that the winds of malice, cross purposes, ignorance, or misunderstanding will not blow out our light." And of course it can't, but he's speaking about our awareness of it. "Let us so live each day that the light from our candle of spiritual knowledge will forever be clear and understood, not only by ourselves, but by all with whom we come into contact." So just like the tow truck driver, who was a beacon of light to us in that moment, I want to share one tiny short story with you about light shining in prison. There was a jailbreak in Parker County, Texas, in June 2016, and a correctional officer is alive because of it. Inmates were awaiting court appearances in a holding cell when the officer watching over them collapsed. The inmates called out for help. When none appeared, they used their collective weight to break down the cell door. And rather than making a run for it, they went to the officer's aid, still yelling for help. One even tried the officer's radio. Eventually, guards heard the commotion and came in. And after placing the inmates back in their cell, CPR was performed on the stricken officer, saving his life. Inmate Nick Kelton said, "It never crossed my mind not to help. Whether he's got a gun or a badge, if he falls down, I'm going to help." Now that is living as light. That is what we really are. Namaste. Thank you. Now let's take a moment and turn within to anchor that. So take a deep breath. Take a moment to recognize what a miracle your physical body is, everything that it's doing in this moment. Take a moment to recognize what a miracle emotions are, perception, intuition, our senses. Notice what you can hear. Right here and now, we recognize that there is one infinite presence that is not limited by time or space. This is infinite intelligence and love. It sets into motion everything that comes into being by becoming that itself, including each one of us. We are fully created from and made of this light of infinite intelligence that is not limited by time or space or history or conditions. Remembering that in this moment, we honor the sacred being that we are, individually, as a congregation, and throughout the world and the universe itself, that everything that is an expression of this one presence. We are so honored and grateful to be created in this, to be wanted, to be chosen, to be known, to be here. We bring forth our attention and our presence, our awareness and our love into this space and into our lives for 2025 right now. With appreciation and awareness, then, we release this prayer into the creative law of mind and spirit. We release it into the heart of God, where it always has been the truth of who we are. We simply let it go and let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Please stand and join me in the morning affirmation as we say together, I am in harmony with a vibration of spirit. I use my thoughts and words in harmony with the resonance of its light. I am a light bearer. This harmony liberates my energy for the creation of more beauty and love. And so it is. You may be seated. This is our sacred offering time, so I'm going to invite our ushers to come forward. And if you are, well, actually, you can't be online with us right now because we can't live stream from here, but you will see this, and if you choose, when you see it, to make a donation to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, you'll be able to do that by texting the dollar amount you want to give to the number on the screen. And that's also available to any of you in the room as well. We want to, together, bless all the offering that is being given in honor of this day, even if it comes in the future, and everything that has been received by Golden Gate in the way of prayers and service and financial contributions and contributions of stuff. We want to bless all of that and all of us in the process. So we do that by saying this offering blessing together. I invite you to hold your gift over your hearts. If you're here for the first time today, your presence here with us is your gift. And we say this together right now. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is.
Back to the basics, I'm stepping up. On the road to discovery, I'm stepping up. No more waiting for that perfect moment to shine. I'm living life, I'm stepping up. Step on up to reclaim it, lighten up, pick a dream and name it. Ease your mind, leave the past behind. This time, how do you survive a traffic jam when it's in your mind that the pileup began? When your imagination strikes is when you first decide to see it right. This thing called life. Step on up to reclaim it, lighten up, pick a dream and name it. Ease your mind, leave the past behind. This time, nothing to hide from on this inner journey home. Learning to linger in this space at a slower pace. Step on up to reclaim it, lighten up, pick a dream and name it. Ease your mind, leave the past behind. Step on up to reclaim it, lighten up, pick a dream and name it. Ease your mind, leave the past behind. This time.
So we all together now accept this offering on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. And we bless it and send it out into the world with the intention that it reminds people of the light within them everywhere that it goes, whether they know that was what did it or not. And so it is. All right. Now, if you're here with us for the very first time this morning, we usually always have welcome packets for our guests, but today we don't. So you will find information and the sign-up sheets for activities and stuff back on the table by the door, and we encourage you to go peruse that and come back again next week or the week after that to the community center in Corte Madera, just down the street on Tamalpais, so that we can actually give you a thank you gift for being here with us this morning. And that will be also your invitation to come back. So please do come back again so we can honor you in that way. Also, I want to especially acknowledge all of the team that did everything to set us up today and put it all together to make this room ready for us when we got here. And I want to draw your attention to the altar Paula you put together for us. You should come up and take a look at the little happy feet penguin in his hat over here on this table, who's so enjoying the end of the Christmas season with poinsettias all around him. Quite delightful. And also, I want to draw your attention to the fact that although we don't have a practitioner table set up this morning, prayer will be available after the service with Reverend M. Louise or Reverend Judith Fleener. Would you two stand up for just a second so people know who you are? So they're serving this morning. They'll gather some chairs from the front, bring them up here somewhere to pray quietly with you. So don't go home with a heavy heart today. I'll say more about prayer in just a minute. So let's acknowledge everybody that's participated today. Also, today is the 5th Sunday brunch we have been so looking forward to in Tiburon at Jet Walker and Tinman Walker's house. And I want to let you know that this morning, Tiburon Boulevard was a little flooded. And Jet says if you turn into the CVS parking lot and go from there, you can get around it. Also, there are a few spaces available at the top of the hill, but parking is very limited. So we encourage people to carpool together. And if several of you can gather down there and get into somebody else's car together, that would be good to make sure you can get up there. You do not need to bring any food or anything like that to the brunch unless you have special dietary requirements. And that will be at Jet's from 1 to 3 today. You don't need to sign up at the events table. I assume that if you're going, she knows, and 1 or 2 more we'll make do with. Do you want to add anything, Jet? She has an abundance of food. So she said she is the embodiment of abundance today. Please come and help her eat it. So we're taking her up on that invitation. All right. Yeah, we'll figure it out. There'll be plenty. We'll figure it out. Yeah, so you don't want to wait until 1, you can come early. All right, great. Thank you, Jet. She's got to go get things ready. Now, I want to tell you, next Sunday, we're doing a special acknowledgement. Oh, no, that's not. What happened to it? Oh, did I do that? No, I don't want to do that. I want to go back. Let me go back. Well, this one's on a timer. It's going to have to do its thing until it's done. And then we'll go back. So I'll tell you, Karen and I are teaching foundations starting the 16th of January, and you can register online and get early bird pricing right now. All right, let's go back the other way. Well, we know this already. All right. So the Knitting Club of Corte Madera, which includes some of our members, this group, they're going to be here next week. All of the knitted blankets, hats, all that stuff that you saw piled up on those couches, they have been knitting and crocheting like mad. And all of those things that they've created, we are going to take responsibility for mailing to, Deborah knows where they need to go, and we'll be sending those off. But we want to acknowledge all of these creative artisans, these craftswomen who have made these things for our students in Ukraine. Dr. Barbara Leger has done a curriculum about peace in Ukraine that has been throughout the school system for the kids and their teachers, and it's been very helpful for them to practice in the midst of the war that's happening in their country. So these blankets will go so that every classroom has a blanket that's kind of our love and a comfort thing for children who need it. Some of them will have hats as well, and they're going to continue knitting. So they're going to be here with, not here, they'll be at the community center with us next week. And we want to bring extra goodies for the social hour. So if you can make extra or bring some, if you don't usually, next week, that would be just great. We want to really thank and acknowledge them for creating this encouragement and love in physical form that we're going to be sending to the schools in Ukraine. And you know about foundations. So if you want to register for this class, in your Sunday bulletin, there's a little bit of more information about the class itself and the textbook. There is a pre-class reading that's just a few pages, not too strenuous, but good to read that before the first class. And we really look forward to having you in that class. You can put your name on the sign-up sheet at the back table if you're intending to register, and then please do go to our website, ggcsl.org, and go ahead and register. Also, if you're making year-end donations, this is the day to do it, because we need to get them in before the 31st so that they become eligible for your 2024 tax return. So if you're doing a distribution for year-end, or you're just giving an extra gift at year-end, please go ahead and make sure we get it today. And thank you to all those of you who have already done that. We're deeply grateful for that. All right. So I don't know if we even have a prayer box today. I don't think we brought the prayer box today. Okay. Normally, you can put a prayer request into the prayer box, a written prayer request. You'll be able to do that next Sunday. But you can always go online, and under the resources tab, the first thing is to make a prayer request, and you can put it in right there and send it off, and it will go to our prayer tree. So you'll get prayer that way. Or you can use the inspiration line and call that line 24/7 and listen to a recorded prayer from one of our practitioners. But today, you can actually get some prayer time with one of our practitioners after the service. So you saw Reverend M. Louise and Reverend Judith, who stood up earlier. They're available to pray with you after the service. It's a short version. It's not a full session, but you also can make appointments with practitioners for a full session and the whole banana. Is that right? The whole enchilada, that's it. I'm not ethnically equipped to get the proper food here, but you know what I mean, okay? So that will be available, and we want to now invite the practitioners to stand up around the room as we prepare to do the closing prayer. And we're all going to pray at the same time, but we're not going to be praying in unison. So rather than trying to figure out what we're saying, just let the blessing wash over you from wherever you are. And then we also, who are standing and praying, want to allow ourselves to receive what's coming to us from all around us as well. So let's take this moment and turn within together right now. Right here and right now, I recognize that I am a presence of light, just like this infinite space, presence, power, love, intelligence, beingness, of creativity and beauty and light. I am made from that creativity and beauty and light. I am its production, its child, its emanation. This is true of every person in this room, and so I claim for all of us an opening in consciousness that allows us to see the truth of who we are, to open to it, to allow the light out, to continue to express it fully with peace and ever-deepening consciousness as we move into 2025. I'm grateful for the prayer, for the law, for knowing that this is possible. And so I let this prayer go into that law with gratitude. I let it go in peace, and I just let it be so. And so it is. And so it is. Please stand and join us for the closing blessing and song. We do this closing blessing with one voice. So let us say together, I now walk, so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For spirit and all people and I are one eternally, and so it is. And this is a song we've sung before, not just with Christy, so you know
What
it.
a joy to be with you all again this morning. Thank you so much for having me. So I send you out with our call, our opportunity to be that light, to be that love, to sing it, to dance it, to live it in the world.
I sing my joy, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I dance my joy, I dance my joy, I dance my joy, I dance my joy into the world. I dance my joy, I dance my joy, I dance my joy into. Don't be afraid to move. I dance my joy, I dance my joy, I dance my joy into the world. I dance my joy, I dance my joy, I dance my joy into the world. I live my peace, I live my peace, I live my peace, I live my peace into the world. I live my peace, I live my peace, I live my peace into the world. I live my peace, I live my peace, I live my peace into the world. I live my peace, I live my peace, I live my peace into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love, I sing my love, I sing my love into the world. I sing my love into the world. I dance my joy into the world. I live my peace and I shine my light and I sing my love into the world. Yeah. Thank you, Christy. All right. Happy New Year, everybody. We are in the midst of experiencing a very happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy New Year. Mwah! Blessings.